Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a hummingbird with some spring flowers. I think it's going to be really fun and hopefully kind of simplify it for you so you can break it down and do it yourself. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's managed chat today, so if you've got questions, you can ask those in chat and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I'm starting with a blank canvas. This is a Fredrix mixed media canvas board, 9 by 12 inch size. You can really use whatever size you've got, whatever canvas you prefer. Like this one, it's a little bit smoother texture, so it makes doing little details and things for the feathers really easily. And I haven't done anything to it. It's already pre-gessoed and ready to go. As far as brushes go, and thank you to Fredrix for the canvas. They're our canvas sponsor. They send us canvases, and we are going to have some information later on when Mark goes to dry this about some I won't call it giveaways, some opportunities. For
Ooh, I like opportunities.
to receive free stuff.
Chocolate?
No, not chocolate. Art supplies. Princeton and Fredrix both sent me some stuff, so we're gonna do some over the next few weeks. Not starting tonight, but starting next week. So, but I want to show you what we've got coming up. All right. As far as brushes go, you're going to want some sort of brush that you can use. You could even use a sponge or a round sponge. You've seen me do a round sponge before, but I'm going to use probably an 8 Filbert to do the background, kind of just soft and kind of floofy looking, blendy. For our flowers, you can either use an angle brush or like a smaller Filbert. I've got a couple different sizes of angle brushes here. These are the 6100 series in the red handle, or the long green handles, and the red handled ones are the VelvetTouch. And then I've got some various sized round brushes as well that I'll be using, and potentially my blender too. I'm not really sure if I need that or not yet, but I'm going to start out with the Filbert. Let's go over our colors. Got carbon black, and really we're only going to use that for the eye. Burnt Umber, burnt Sienna, yellow Oxide, Indian Yellow Hue. It's changed its name to India Yellow instead of Indian Yellow. I'm not sure why, but I think that's the India Yellow is the heritage name, like the used to be. So anyhow, I don't know. So if you buy it and you're looking for Indian Yellow, you may find it called India Yellow now. Just opened a new tube and it was called, it's saying India Yellow, but then on the package it said Indian Yellow. So it's like, make up your mind. All right. Cadmium Yellow Light, Green Gold, Cobalt Teal, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta. That'll be our main color for the flowers and everything. And then maybe a little bit of Pyrrole Orange if we want to warm it up. Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and Gloss Glazing Liquid. If you don't have these exact colors, just use what you've got that's similar. It's fine. We're just going to kind of mix and match and help you along as we go here, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to spray my canvas to start with. That's the first thing I like to do. You need to change the thing for me. Thank you.
And I was doing so good. Well, I made it, 3 minutes in, so not too bad.
It's all right, honey. I'm not
new,
getting rid of you.
I'm new to this, so patience.
We've only been doing this for,
I don't know,
7-8 years now. So every Tuesday. You'll get it eventually.
You have a lot of faith in me. Sorry, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting. We're getting
older, autofocus
so,
is going crazy there.
Huh?
Your autofocus is going crazy on your
Is it?
thing.
Oh, yeah. It's not. Okay. Moving around too much. All right. So if you want to, you can just put your paint straight onto the canvas. Sometimes I do that. I'm going to need a pretty big dollop of white, about like here and here. And then some of my magenta and maybe some unbleached titanium down here. And over here I'll add some green, but I'm not going to add it yet. So I'm going to start with that magenta because it's very potent. Spraying the canvas helps. Mine kind of is still a little bit not wet enough. You know when it's so damp that it like puddles up, but having the canvas wet or at least damp really does help the paint move around. You can see it's flowing a lot easier. It's kind of smishing around for me, and I don't have to work so hard to get the paint to go down into the crevices of the canvas. I'm going to get some yellow oxide, maybe do some warmer reddish tones. And then I do want to do, I was kind of looking, because this palette is pretty much pink and green. The Hummingbird is, oh, it's called a butterfly. The Hummingbird is green and like a fuchsia, magenta. And then the flowers are like fuchsia. So, magenta. So there's not a lot of dynamic color going on. And I thought I wanted to add a third color. But I wasn't really sure what. Looking at the color wheel, it's kind of really not, it's almost like a complementary color scheme as we have it in our reference photo there. So I wanted to add a third color, but I wasn't really sure what. And so sometimes when I'm kind of stuck or just kind of have like, I don't know, you know, like I don't know what, I will grab my Pantone color Harmony book. This is a Pantone. It's in my Amazon shop. Also, all the materials that I'm using tonight is also in there. But I saw this and this one here. I was looking for it's got all these different palettes depending on mood and, you know, what colors you want to use and that kind of thing. And which one is this one? This one is the Playful color palette. But like, there's our color, right? That really bright, vivid pink. And there were two here that had a green. And I was looking for that pink with a green. And both of these have like a purple tone with as the third color. So I'm going to actually kind of combine these because there is some of this darker green in there as well. And then this more limey green. So I'm going to use this kind of periwinkle blue lavender color as our third color. I think it'll give it a little punch. And it's just kind of nice to have that book because I can just grab it and look through. If I kind of know sort of generally where I want to start, and it kind of just gives me ideas that I wouldn't have normally picked from, you know, from our reference photo. So I'm going to get magenta and ultramarine blue and white. And just make a really soft kind of bluish color. And I think that's going to look nice back here. Just kind of, I'm just going to add it softly. These paints are still wet, so I can just kind of add little wisps of this. It's going to be behind my flowers because I'm adding my flowers on top of all of this, but actually really like that so far. So far so good. We'll add some greens and things to this too, but if you get it to where it's too much, and maybe you have too much paint on your brush. So wipe that brush out. You can just grab some white or even just some gloss glazing liquid or something like that. You don't want anything too wet at this point though, because your paint's pretty thick. So don't add water to it to blend it. Just wipe your brush off and use a dry, kind of dampish brush with maybe just a tiny bit of color if you want some white, if you want to soften the color. But you can see how it's kind of sopping up that extra paint and just blending it out. Make sure that your paint is still wet though. You can see how fast I put this on. It's only been like probably 3 or 4 minutes since I put the color on. You don't want to wait a half an hour and try to do this because it's not going to work. Not even 10 minutes. You know, you kind of have to do this right away while it's still wet. Otherwise it will start lifting and doing weird things for you. So I'm going to get a little bit more of my magenta and maybe add that for another kind of more violet tone. And just do some of that down here to get some other colors. And once my paint starts to like not want to be moving, like it feels sticky or, you know, like it doesn't want to move around for me, then I need to stop and just let it dry. And I'll give it to Mark to dry. In fact, I didn't put any color up here at all, so I need to add something up there. Let me go ahead and do that. I forgot to add color up there. I don't know if any of that, let me look. I think that's all white. Let me get a little bit more white. So I think, and of course there's going to be flowers and other things around here, but I think that'll do. I think that's nice. Looks nice and splendy. You can still see the brush strokes. I didn't overblend it. And there's some distinct color changes going on. All right, wipe off my hand here. So I want to show you what we're going to be doing for our, I don't know what to call it. What should we call it instead of a giveaway? Because if we start saying giveaway and start like the algorithm does weird things. It doesn't like you to promote that word. So reward, I don't know. It's not, but what we're going to do a little bit different than we've done it in the past. We're going to have a code word during our live stream. So each week we'll have a new code word, and we'll have a giveaway for my patrons, and then a giveaway for the last 3 weeks of our Tuesday live stream. So we'll have one during my bonus video, my $5 level tier bonus video that's coming up in a couple weeks for patrons, and then 3 more for the live streams on Tuesdays. That'll be 4 prizes, and then I have a 5th set of stuff and some canvases also. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 prize packs total to give out. So one of the prize packs would be the canvases, and probably what I'll do is we'll just pick over those few weeks, we'll pick 7 different winners out of the entries that we get. But I have 2 cases of these to give out. So these are the 12 by 12. The case has 3 of these in there. These are amazing. I love them. They're the blue label. They're smooth, so they have a great feel and texture. I just absolutely love them. So Fredrix gave me those way before Christmas. This is how long it's taken me to finally get around to doing this giveaway. So those will be 2 of the gift things. And then I've got this. These are the Strathmore Acrylic, which are amazing to paint on. So I've got 2 different sizes of those. This is everything that I'm going to show you here is coming in another prize pack. So this is all together. This is the Princeton prize pack. That one was the Fredrix one. The System 3 Acrylic Basic Set. It's got really good colors here. This is the acrylics. And then you're also going to get the My Mary Gouache primary set. And it's got primary magenta, blue and yellow, and then black and white. If you've ever want to try gouache. And then the Catalyst paddle wedge, which are really fun to use. I've used them in a couple videos, I think, but I'm keeping one for myself to use to do in a video. So I'm gonna do that. And then we've got the wedges. These are like a palette knife, but they're silicone. So I think they're silicone. I don't know what they're made out of, but they're really great and flexible. And then the brushes. Here we go. We've got a set of watercolor Filbert Bright, Flat and Round in the VelvetTouch long handle. 4 Filbert Bright 6, Flat 10, and Round 2/0. So nice set there. And then these are the ones that I requested them send me like individually. So that's a 6 round 8 Filbert, so which is what I'm using tonight. Coincidentally, like I did not plan that. It just happens to be one of my favorite sizes. And then the 4 round and the 3/4 inch stroke in the Summit series, which are a little bit shorter handles. There's very similar texture, but anyhow. So all of this goodies are going to be in the Princeton giveaway pack. And then again, I showed you the Fredrix one. So yay, it's going to be great. And I have, like I said, I have 4 of them that have the full set, and I have one set that doesn't have these 2 things in it. It has everything but these 2 things because I kept one for myself just because I didn't have them. Sorry. Prerogative of the giveawayer. So anyhow, I can actually get more. I may just swatch them and tell them to send me more, just so I have more sets to give away. But anyhow, you get the idea. So that'll be next week. So if you want to watch next week the live stream, we'll have the link where you can enter, and we'll have a code word each week. So the more you enter, the more times you can win. And I think we'll probably announce a winner each week as we do it. Like give it a week and announce it on the Tuesday and keep on going. So that's the idea. Finally getting around to it. I've literally had these in my studio since January. So
Well, we had sickness and stuff, so.
yeah, we've had all kinds of stuff going on. All right, so here we go. We got this. It looks really good. I like how it dried. Sometimes if you've got a lot of patchiness, or you can, once you dry it, you can kind of notice some areas that maybe it didn't cover very well. I might give it another coat down here. But you can do it a second time, as many times as you need to until you get it looking the way you want it.
Hey, real quick.
Uh-huh.
The giveaways, it's eligible for everybody, international and everything, all that?
Yeah, because I'm shipping the stuff, so
Nice.
I'll open it up.
We're going to do it.
Kind of,
We're wild that way.
we won't know who's from where because we're just asking for emails and names. So.
I like it.
Yeah, and I'll just fingers crossed that it's just you. No, I'm joking. It doesn't cost me $200 to ship $100 worth of art supplies.
Been there,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's worth it.
Oh yeah,
We
for
get some
sure.
great fans.
100%. I'm being silly. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I should not say anything negative. No, yes, we're opening it up full on. Everybody gets to participate. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll just kind of draw in where we want our bird first, and then that way we kind of have an idea of where we want to put the flowers. So I think he's gonna be kind of in that upper third here, and I might make his head kind of right here, so it's not, maybe not quite halfway. And with the hummingbird, really any bird, you've got a circle, a small circle for the head, and then kind of a teardrop shape for the body, and that's generally kind of a bird body shape. And then of course the tail. With the hummingbird, the tail kind of is a lot part of the body. It's very connected. It's a lot shorter. I mean, some hummingbirds have really long tails, but these ones are not that long. And they're pretty narrow, so they're not as round as other birds. And then you just leave like a little space for the neck. The body, like the shoulders and wings kind of come out from right here, and then you leave a little space for the neck on either side, and then the head. And so if our head is pointing down like this way, we can have our neck just coming in like that. We can move the head around however we want. We can tilt the tail down if you want it to look like it's hovering more. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. And I think we're going to leave ours kind of upright with the beak coming down like that. And then with this one, this pose, the other wing is kind of not showing, but if you wanted to do a little bit of that, you could just have a second little bit of that wing showing, I might do that, just because I like seeing that. And there we go. I need to make that narrow right there where the beak comes out and make sure I keep that pretty narrow. But that'll be, I think, where I'll place my hummingbird. And then I want flowers coming down here. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Big flower. More flowers and more flowers. All right, so there we go. There's our drawing. Not a whole lot here to... Not very difficult. And this is one of the easier birds to draw, I think. I think the placement of the wing is one of the more important things, and just getting the proportion of that body right. I think I might have made him kind of long. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did. So I may shorten him up, or just make him a little bit beefier all over. You know, a little bit wider. He's still working off his Christmas pounds. Aren't we all?
From 2018.
Exactly. 2018. That's about right.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to start with my unbleached titanium and a little bit of yellow oxide here. And I'm just going to kind of use that as an undercolor to block in sort of the white part of his breast. And he's got this big ruby throat thing going on here, which is really pretty much magenta. And I'm going to use the corner of my brush and just tap that in so I get kind of a little bit of feathery type of look to it. Just a little bit there. I don't know what that was.
That was me.
Your phone. You were supposed to have your phone off.
Well, it's not making sound.
Oh, vibrating. Okay. Green gold, which is, if you don't have green gold, you can mix it if you have like a phthalo blue. Well, we could probably use cobalt teal. Let's try. Let's try mixing it. Cobalt teal is like phthalo blue and phthalo green with white. So if I have cobalt teal and yellow, ooh, look at that. That's bright. Let's try some Indian yellow, which is a little bit more of a golden yellow. That's closer. So you can get a color that's similar to green gold with like a cobalt teal or a phthalo green or something like that with a lot of yellow. And Indian yellow is probably better yellow than the cadmium yellow light, because the cadmium yellow light was giving it
India.
What?
India
yellow, yeah. Cadmium yellow light was giving it too vibrant. It's a little bit muted. So somewhere in there like that, and the face comes down like that. All right, then let's go ahead and do the body down here. And I just added a little bit of unbleached titanium, I think, or white, or whatever you need to add to make it opaque, because it probably won't go over the top of this pink without it. Okay. And then I'm going to use some neutrals here. I'm just going to get burnt umber, burnt sienna, mix those in. And this bottom part of the body is just kind of brownish. And we'll put more vibrant colors over the top, but this will just give us some room to work. The wing is going to actually kind of come down here and be in front of that, so this is not really all showing here. Let me get some yellow oxide, do some yellow oxide right here where the wing attaches. Oh, just a dark area right there, nothing fancy. I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. And if your paint is doing that, you know, see how it's kind of breaking up on me. Sometimes I want it to do that, but right now I'm not wanting it to do that. I want it to cover. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to my paint, and that way it'll cover better. And I'm going to use some blue in those wings, I think, just to make the color a little bit more olive. Here we go. And I'm just going to pull back. They're pretty closely stacked, so there's not a lot of individual feathers showing there. Do a little bit of it and just pull it back in like that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I might have to bring that wing up just a little bit or widen it out up here. I feel like it's a little bit far away from the head. So I think I'm going to bring it up just a little bit right there. Okay. And then if we want to, we can add another wing back here. I might just neutralize it a little bit and just add like a wispy bit of a second wing back there. Just kind of a faded bit. Okay. And then there is a little part of the wing that kind of comes up right here that attaches it, just a little attaching piece, whatever. Getting a little bit of that darker green. I'm just going to kind of tap that on the head. It's not going to look like much when you first get these colors on. What I'm trying to do is kind of base in the main colors so that I can add feathers on top. And so I want the kind of undertone colors, the darker toned colors first. And then we'll add the brighter poppy colors on top. I'm using burnt umber here. I'm going to bring this breast color up darker. Just darken up this area just a little bit. It's a little too bright. We'll put the lighter color on top. We need a darker color underneath our white to make it show up. If we put white on top of white, it's not going to look like anything but white. There won't be any depth. What are you laughing at?
White on white won't show.
Yeah, no, white on white. It'll just be a bunch of white. Okay. Somewhere in there like that. I'm thinking about where the feet are coming down, kind of sort of where this wing comes down. There's a couple little feet right here, but I'm not going to put those in yet. I'm going to get some Indian yellow and burnt sienna. Put some of that in there, like a warmer color. And I think that is, believe it or not, pretty good for our start. I might put a couple little tail feathers in there. And that'll be a good start. He's kind of just an olive drab, but he's got that ruby throat, so it gives him a little bit of bling. And I made his, I'm going to bring his throat out a little bit too. I didn't want to do too much. Well, let's go ahead and switch to a smaller brush. So I've got the two round here in the 6100 series. And I'm going to get my Quinacridone Magenta. I'm going to spray my paint so they don't dry out. Spray everything down a little bit. And I'm just going to use this full strength under here. And I think I want it a little bit more, a little bit darker. So I'm going to maybe just add a tiny bit of black. Black, you don't need a lot. Look at how dark that went. So I'm just pretty much wiping it all out and getting a little bit of that So I kind of wiped my black over here. I picked up a tiny bit on the tip of the brush. I put it over here on a clean spot and just mixed it in with the magenta I already had on my brush to see what it would do. And it was way too dark, so then I kind of just put it back into the magenta that I had up here on its own little spot, and that's about perfect right there. So I'm going to use that. And just do some little feathers. And my original magenta is dry, so I'm just going to tap in some little darker feathers right there underneath the breast, or on the throat, actually. What am I talking about? Throat. And then I'm going to get some magenta, a little bit of white. And just do kind of a cross, and I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to kind of do a cross there. All right, and I'm going to leave that for now. Maybe tap in just a little bit into that green so that it transfers. And that'll be good. Trust me, we'll get it there. It doesn't look like much at first. That is totally normal. You're going to get to places like this in your painting where you're, especially if you're new to it, where you are like, this looks terrible. Like, you're going to get to this point in your painting and just be like, I obviously don't know what I'm doing. I still get to that place sometimes. I have to kind of, talk myself through. Having a good reference photo is really key for that, to help you work through that, because you can just kind of look at it and go, okay, no, I think I am seeing that color in there. So my beak is ending up being way lower than where I drew it, which often happens to me. I don't usually draw and keep my drawing. I tend to move things around as I start painting. So I'm going to do the beak to about right here, I think. And if you want to, you can start with the beak, or just kind of come out. You can flip it over, whatever. This is kind of awkward because I generally like to do my lines from left to right, but but then I'm not going to be able to see the perspective, so I want to keep it in line. So I'm just going to try to kind of figure out how long I want it, which I think it's like right in here, and just do my line like that. In. Right, that looks good. Okay. That's the scariest part. If you don't want to do that part, get yourself a acrylic marker or something like that. You can use that. You can even use pencil. Like, pencil will work on top of acrylics, like a good dark colored pencil. You don't have to paint it with a brush. And I would probably use a smaller brush than this one, just because it may be harder to control. So you could use like a little bit smaller round. The smaller a round it is, the easier to control. Also, the more fluid the paint is, a little bit easier to control. You just don't want it too fluid, because I can see that it's trying to seep out from where I painted it right here on the tip. So, but I'll be going over it, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so that color was black, plus this green that was the body wing color. I didn't talk about it when I was talking about other things, so sorry. Make sure that I know, what I just did there. And then let's go ahead and use some of it, and just dab on top of the head, and just blend in that beak to the rest of the head. And it should kind of taper down from the head, so it kind of widens out right there. It's sort of a Y shape right there, and it sort of does the same thing at the below too. So where it touches in, it spreads out. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of black and put the eye in. That'll be our really defining part. So if you follow the bottom line of that beak out, in, and then as it comes in, curve it up just slightly. There's just like it rounds out above the eyeball, and it's almost halfway, so I might move it back just a little bit. It's almost halfway on that face there. That looks about right. Wipe that out and get some white, and then I'm just kind of blending that in, and I'm going to go around that eye and just dab a little bit. You know, those little kind of funky, it's not really feathers, it's like skin around the eye. And then I'm going to use that to kind of highlight the beak too, just at the top of the beak. All right, I'm going to get my black again because I kind of covered up my black too much, and just clean up that eye. And we'll just let that set and dry because we got several layers on it right now. All right, but it's coming along nicely. So let's let him dry, and let's work on our feather, our flowers, and then we'll come back and finish the feathers on here. It's really important with acrylics, just let them dry in between layers. And since we've done several colors here on it, did a couple layers on here, really only one layer back here. I probably could put another layer on there if I wanted to, but I'm not going to right now. I probably could have, now that I think about it, I probably could have done another layer of flowers back here before I did my hummingbird, because there are a few of the darker flowers back behind him, but I'm not, I think we're okay. What happened to my smaller filbert? Oh, there it is, okay. So I think I'm going to use my smaller filbert, and we'll just go ahead. I just used water to wipe away my chalk marks, if you were wondering what I was doing there. So let's go ahead and just use that magenta and my white. And it's pretty much the color that I'm seeing on these flowers, so they're not a whole lot of variation. We can add a little bit of orange to it if we want, but I'm going to keep them back here kind of blendy. So I'm going to use this softer color and maybe a little bit of white. So maybe 3 different colors of it, like a dark, medium, and light. I'm going to start with the lighter color and just kind of put in some blossom-like shapes back here, but kind of let them fade out, not really attached into anything necessarily, and not super resolved. And we can blend those out a little bit just by kind of using some of the same colors as our background. So I'm going to get some of that, try to match up that background color, and then just kind of paint over any rough edges that I'm seeing and blend them in. See, and now they kind of look a little bit more like they meant, you know, we meant to do that.
Nice.
They don't look so pasted on. And that's the key. The key is just to kind of match up your background color a little bit. Let's put some color back here.
Do we know what kind of flowers these are?
I don't know. I think they look like cherry blossoms to me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they look like some kind of a tree.
Yeah. And the Filbert brush is really nice because I'm just using the shape of the natural shape of the brush to do these petals. So it's going to, as long as I kind of point it in the right direction, it's going to give me really nice blossom shapes, and I can kind of connect them. I can use the edge to kind of do some smaller, more rounded petals, and just I'm gonna do kind of a layer back here of just sort of indistinct petals, and then we'll add our more distinct petals in front here. Let's go ahead and do these ones that are down low because they're also kind of blurry. These ones are a little bit more noticeable. A nice big one there. It's down here. Get some white. When you do the pink over the pink areas, it might not show up very well, so you can change to white or something that'll contrast it. Okay.
Somebody said that they're apple blossoms,
Apple blossoms. Oh, nice.
possibly from a crabapple tree.
Okay. Very nice.
Well, we had a crabapple tree in our yard growing up.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Didn't really eat them. They were small, very buggy.
Oh, yeah.
Fun to throw, though.
I do remember my great-grandmother had an apple tree in her backyard that had a bench around it, and I made the mistake of sitting on the bench one time. And there were a lot of bees. That's all I'm gonna say. It scared the
Yellow
bejeebers
jackets
out of
and
me.
bees love it.
It's like, oh, it's so pretty. Let's go sit under that. And then, yeah, no. The bees are like, this is my bench. I don't know what you think you're doing. This is our tree. You will leave it or pay. Very aggressive little bees in Oregon. In 1980 probably. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some stems on here because before I get too ahead of myself, because our tree needs some stem. So let's get the burnt umber and a bit of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to need more magenta, so I'm going to put that out now while I'm thinking about it. I think I may need to make my flowers bigger. I think I'm making them too small. So, burnt umber, ultramarine blue, some nice gray. I'm just going to kind of lay out some branches here and some thin lines coming down. We'll put leaves and things in front of these, but this will just give us some bare bones for our plants, and especially any of these that are kind of out on their own, they need to connect to something. So we'll just connect it this way here. And if you're having trouble getting thin lines, then just thin out your paint. Use a thinner brush, can help, but often it's your paint that's the problem. It's the thickness of your paint. If your paint's too thick, you just won't get thin lines, period. Doesn't matter what you do. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna add some white to this color and do some fainter lines kind of out in here. And maybe highlight on top of some of these. Just a little bit. Okay. Didn't even look too dark or whatever. You can thin them out. All right, so let's do our green leaves. And I like to use an angle brush for leaves. Just makes it really easy. I think I'm going to Let me just see if I can get them small enough. I might use I think I'm going to use the 3/8 inch angle. And I'm going to get that green gold. I'm going to get that green gold. I don't know. I have no idea why I just said it that way. And some ultramarine blue. Don't worry about it. I'm in a weird mood today. Just seemed funny the way I said it.
Yes, it was. I like that.
Just making sure you're still awake over there.
Could I get that green gold?
Exactly. I think that's what I was thinking. Gonna get that green gold. All right. Sorry, we're weird. It's okay. This happens after you've been married as long as we. You laugh at each other's jokes. Mark knew exactly what I was doing there.
Yep.
You got the reference. That's so funny. All right, gonna get some yellow and mix that in with this color. I'm just gonna use that cadmium yellow light. Do some light green sprigs. There's some kind of blurry green back here, so I'm just gonna kind of do some wispy. Just a few, not a lot. Some blendy, kind of blurry. This is way too, I think I made this a little too visible, so I'll show you how to fix that. Gonna just do some little dabby dabs there, get that darker green, do some leaves with that, coming out. However many leaves you want.
And you were just using the pointy end of the...
Yeah, I'm just using the pointy end of that brush to
angle
kind of
brush
just
there.
make little leafy marks. And just kind of twist it a little bit or just set it down. Even just setting it down, it makes leafy marks. Here's just kind of a bladed leaf there. Okay. Good enough. Let's let all this dry. There's a lot going on. So let's go back to our hummingbird here. We can start adding his like bright feathers on his head and stuff. So I'm going to get that bright yellow green that I used up here, and it's really important to just use the same color. So if you use something in your flowers, a color in your flowers, use it in your bird and vice versa. So I'm just going to use that same color, and that'll tie those two together. I'm adding some white because I'm going over this darker color and I need it to be opaque. So I'm just going to, I'm switched back to this 2 round, and I'm going to dab in little feathers on the head, and I'm going to get some of that green gold and just have it with just a little bit of white. Doesn't take a lot, so that it covers. There we go. And there's kind of an area of like neutral brown, so I'm going to get this burnt sienna and yellow oxide color here and add that under the eye and between the yellow, or between the magenta and the green, all the way back here and then kind of in front of the, you might want to zoom in so people can see what we're doing here. Good, thank you. Got a little too much on the eye there. So there's a little bit of this color kind of coming around in front of the eye. Keep getting it on that black. This brush is a little too big probably. But I'm being lazy because I don't want to clean another brush. All right, there we go. Yeah, that looks all right. Let me get a little bit of this dark magenta. And just right here, there's a little dark part of that magenta that comes up in front of the eye, and it's fairly close to the eye. And then a little bit underneath. But maybe not that much. Wiping that out and kind of just lifting some of that back off. Okay. You can always kind of just tap over your wet paint and kind of blend it out a little, blur it out a little bit too. That's what I just did there. And I'm going to get a little bit more of my black. Clean up my eye yet again. And then get my white. And just blend that out till I don't have a ton on my brush. Just a little faint little bit. And I'm just going to tap that soft white on. Oop. I think my black is still too wet. There we go. No, I need to let that black dry. Never mind. We'll leave that black. I put more black on there than I thought. We gotta let it dry. It's telling me no. Gotta listen to your paint. Okay. We'll come back to it. We just have to let it dry. Okay, getting my white. And dab, dab, dab. And kind of using the edge of my brush, I'm just pulling down little white feathers and overlapping them so they're not in a line that's like an obvious line. And you can see how I kind of had that lighter color up here. So up here we're not seeing the feathers so much, but over here where we have that darker color, you can see now why we did that, because now those look like we've got little feathers there. And I'm going to bring that up and around that white just a little bit. Right on the back of the neck right there. All right. And then there's a little bit of white right here. Like a little triangle of it coming off the back of the eye. All right. Now let's do a little bit more right back here. A little bit of white down there. And then get some of that green gold and do a little highlight on this part of the wing. And that's probably a little too much. I'm going to get a little bit of green from our leaves over here and just kind of tap that out a little bit and just blend that into what I already had. Blend that color out just a little bit. All right, let's do some of that green gold right here. Coming down. And these, instead of doing lines, I'm kind of pressing my brush down a little fatter so that I'm getting little rounded brush strokes. And I need a little bit of burnt umber and a little bit of my yellow, maybe some unbleached titanium, just need a little bit of different color from what I've got going on right now. There we go. And we're just gonna get some feather shapes, and if I push my brush flat here and kind of get it to fan out a little bit, then when I set my brush down I can get a rounded shape. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a little bit of that lighter color on the tip and just pull it back and sort of mermaid it where they're almost like scales and they're overlapping each other. That looks good. Okay. We can do this. Keep them kind of small. That looks good enough. Okay. And let's do a few of them back here.
So is that a painting technique? Mermaiding?
Mermaiding, yeah. I was just made me think of mermaid scales.
Glad it wasn't Aquaman
Mermaid,
skills.
no.
We'd have to talk afterwards.
Aquaman's a whole different story. Yeah. We had some words
Yep.
after the show. Okay. His new show came out just now. I noticed it.
I bet you did.
I haven't watched it.
Suddenly, we need to go to the aquarium for some reason.
Okay. So I'm doing dark there, and then I'm going to get just a little bit of, maybe a little bit of that same color as these for the tree. And put my feet down. There's just a little hint of feet there. That's all you have to do. You don't overdo. On my picture, his feet are all kind of tucked up under his wing there, so you can't really see what they are. If you paint what's not there, it usually looks janky. So, and I'm going to use the same color there on the wing a little bit. And then let's do our bright gold feathers on the back of the body. I'm going to get some dark green and just kind of mark in where that overlap of the body is. And okay, move them up a little bit. Okay, let's get a little bit of that dark color here and do the dark underside, just a little bit on the tail there. I feel like he's a little chunky. He's a little, he needs a diet. That's all right. He's all right. What I can do is make his wing a little bit bigger in front right here. He just looks a little, what I did is I rounded out his breast a little too much, but it's fine. We're just gonna go with it. Let's get my green gold that has the white here, and do some little feathers coming up right there. Again, kind of just dab that off if I kind of got it a little too much, too high right there. Okay, good. Getting a little bit of that burnt sienna. I was using burnt sienna over here. I don't know if I was talking about that. We were talking about Aquaman. Sorry, burnt sienna, burnt umber down here. I'm just going to use that same color there. It's a nice color to transition. Yeah, I kind of needed to cut his belly off right there a little bit. Oh well, too late now. So sad.
He's been hitting the buffet a little too much.
He has been.
That's okay.
He's been working out. They're muscles. We'll just say he's muscular.
Okay, got it.
He's big boned.
Big boned.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
No body shaming here.
Not at all. I just thought, I was wondering why you were looking at me a lot when you were painting. And then he's got a little bigger midsection there. Like,
I am modeling him after my favorite person.
Glad I could help out.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. Cleaning off the palette there. I know I was thinking about it the other day. I don't know why I thought of this, but I was, well, I think it was because I was watching a live stream of another person and they were, talking to their co-host or whatever. And I'm like, if somebody came in and they didn't know our dynamic, you're like adding water to my thing the other week, and you like had your Stanley Cup in front of the camera and you were like, hey, come sponsor us. And I was like, go away. People are probably like, she's so rude to him.
This is not your show. Go back over there, camera boy.
Go back. Go away, water boy.
Go sit down over there.
I just thought of it. I was like, oh my gosh. That's all I said. Like, go away.
Go. And I obeyed.
Sure, people are like, wow, that was harsh. It's like,
She
no,
treats
you
all
don't
her
know
help
what
like
I
that.
live with. Oh gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, but I obediently obeyed and
You did.
came over here and sat down.
You better. It's like, oh, okay, I pushed it too far.
I just, try to push some buttons once in a
Too far
while.
there.
Make it interesting.
Too much. The other thing I could do is just make my hummingbird bigger all over.
I don't think so. I don't think you need to.
Okay. He's just a little chunky.
It's okay.
He's
It's
a
all
chunky bird.
It's all right.
He's chunky with an O.
He's from America.
Okay. I could blend out that. I mean, I could show you how that's done. I might try it a little bit because it is kind of bothering me. So you can take your magenta and your white. We could put some flowers back there. We can do whatever we want. This is our painting. Nothing's set in stone here. So that's close enough. I'm just going to give him a little lipo here. A little lipo. There we go. You got a little nip and tuck right there. And there we go. Okay. And then you just take it and blend it out. That's the thing. If you have to do that, you just need to make it look like it was there the whole time. So blending it out, we can see if there's an obvious line there, we can put something over the top to hide it a little bit better or whatever. But I think that looks pretty good enough. I think I'm going to add that blue to his wings a little bit. I think I want a little touch of that in his wings. So I'm going to get my Ultramarine Blue and just a little bit of the burnt umber. So I want it to be kind of gray blue, but not all the way gray. So a lot of blue left in it. And I've got that nice green back there. So I'm just going to make this a color that I can just kind of paint over the top and make it opaque enough that it'll cover over, but not too bright. I might make it a little bit darker than that. Feels a little bit bright. So let's try making that a little bit darker. That's better. There we go. Okay, if it doesn't show up, A little bit of water to it. There's kind of a, you know, fine line with acrylics. You need enough water for them to flow, but not so much that they go transparent on you if you don't want that. So look at that pretty color though, and that ties in all of this over here. Really, really pretty. All right, I like that a lot. I'm going to get a little bit more burnt umber and ultramarine blue and do a darker version right here. Kind of, actually that probably could go a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and extend those just a little bit longer first. Let's go a little bit longer in. Just follow the curve of the wing and you're pointing them all to here. So they're fanning out from this pivot point. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on that as you're doing these feathers and make sure you're always pointing the end of these towards that mark right there where they're all coming together. Okay, then let's get this darker color and we'll do our littler feathers. I'm sure they have a name, not littler, but you know, whatever. Then darker still. There. And then there's some highlighted. Let's get some green and kind of do down like that. All right, that looks good. I'm going to do a little bit of this green on top there. And if we need, you know, if you need to, you can highlight the top edge a little bit or get a little bit more of the burnt umber and come through with that. However you need to, I need to bring this up just a little bit under that green right there. So I just want to make sure that that color is extending to the underside right there. And then I've got that other wing and I'm just going to kind of add a couple little things to it, but I don't have to do much. It's the other side. I don't want it to look in focus at all. So I want to keep it blendy and soft, and just the suggestion of another wing and being the different value. See how this one's so much darker. That looks farther away and more out of focus. All right, so I'm pretty happy with him. Now we got a little nip and tuck there. Looks a little bit better. I'm going to get a little bit of black and just like right here there's like a dark shadow right there and maybe a little bit there. Okay, now my eye is dry and I can add, I do think his head needs to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to bring it out around the back side a little bit right here, just right here where it attaches, just a little bit of green gold and burnt umber or burnt sienna. And again, if you don't have green gold, just use whatever green you've got and add yellow to it. A lot of yellow. Right, and then we're adding the burnt umber. So I'm gonna shape out that and just define it. What's happening here is that this color and this color are the same, and so I'm not seeing the defined shape there. Okay, so that's just attaching now the neck. Now he's got a neck that attaches all the way down. And yeah, I think that's good enough. I mean, you know, we're not going for perfection here. I think that's close enough. He looks like a hummingbird to me. I'm gonna get a little bit of, I'm gonna get a smaller brush. This will help. So I'm gonna get a 2/0 round, 2/0. And I'm gonna get a little bit of that unbleached titanium, and I'm just gonna dab a few more like very tiny little dots there. And then I'm gonna get my white, maybe just a tiny bit of that ultramarine blue. I like to start out with like a little bit of a blue reflection because it's going to be reflecting the sky right? So just a little bit of blue in there. You can add a little gray, like a little bit of black if you want it to be slightly gray, but there's that. And then get just on the very tip of the brush, just a tiny, tiny, tiniest little bit of paint there. And figure out where we want our highlight to be. This one's kind of off to this side right here. So right in the middle of that little semicircle that I did, and you can see that I left that black around. I want to leave a nice little rim of black all the way around. And that little...
Pull your hand out for a second. Let it focus on the bird.
that little darker or brighter spot is just like right at the top corner. And so I'm going to go just to one side of that and just dab just a tiniest little dot there. Okay, you could use a toothpick or a pin, you know, if you don't want to use a brush, if you find that easier, whatever works for you. All right, then I'm going to use my unbleached titanium and some green gold. And I'm just going to go along the top of the beak there and go over the top just to blend in a few more feathers, and anywhere else that you want a little bit of pop of brighter feathers. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that green gold and do just a few more like bright feathers right along there. I kind of already did it along here, but maybe just adding that white will help them. There we go. Sparkle. If you want a little sparkle. You can always add metallic paints if you have like a, you know, metallic. They have a very metallic sheen to their feathers, so you could do that. I would use metallic paint sparingly and just do it over the top of the color that you have, because they don't cover very well. They're usually pretty transparent, metallic colors are. So you want to start out with whatever color you want it to be and then add your metallic over the top of that. Okay, I think that looks good. He's a cute little guy. All right, so there's our hummingbird. Not too bad. I think I made his eye a little small, actually. Now that I'm looking at my reference, I think I might make his eye just slightly bigger. Just in the... what do you think? I feel like his eye's a little bit small. I'm not gonna mess with the actual eyeball. I'm just gonna, or the highlights, because I like the highlights we've done. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger. There we go. It's cuter bigger too. Okay, and I'm gonna put those little dots around the outside though. And kind of clean up that edge. Okay, there we go. That's better. That'll make it look cuter. If you make the eye too small, they look a little mean. I find he was looking a little angry. And bright white right there. Okay, nice. All right, let's finish our flowers and we'll be done. So I'm going to go back to this Filbert brush and my magenta. And some white. And just mix up kind of a medium magenta here. I really should have done a few more of these kind of mid-tone colors in some places back here. And anywhere where you have a stem or something like that that looks a little out of place, go ahead and put a petal or something, or flower, you know, helping to kind of camouflage. I'm going to make these petals a lot bigger here. The ones that are facing us, you've got a petal shaped like this, right? And they're all coming into the center here, right? And there's, you know, imagine 5 more hands all the way around with the centers all, the palms all right here attached all the way around. The ones that are facing us or curled in, that shape changes. You know, they're all still the same shape, but depending on how they're facing us, if they're turned to the side, that flower's turned to the side, the ones on top or to the sides are going to be this weird kind of cupped shape. So you don't want to do all of your petals this shape. That'll make it look unnatural. So you do want to do some of them kind of to the angle, you know, to the side, so that they look like they're opening up in different ways and in different angles. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing it. The more you do flowers, the more, you know, the more you'll see those shapes and the more natural it will feel for you, and you won't have to think about it so much. But just really study the shapes that you're seeing in your flowers and look beyond the petals that are the star of the show and really see what the other shapes you're seeing are. It's easy to kind of notice these ones that are like right out front, but some of these other ones that are back here are just as important. Getting some white. I think that's, I don't know, I'm not going to do too much with these. They don't need it, you know. What are you laughing at?
We'll see.
We'll see.
If you can control yourself.
Oh, no, I will. I will. That's it. I like the flow. It's kind of coming down. It's cupping around. I can add, you know, if you want to, you can add some more of this color. Like, I'm going to get a little bit of that white and just add a little bit more of this color in some other places. I do like the white over here, so I don't think I'm going to mess with that because it's a nice little break from all the other colors. But, you know, like here, maybe these look a little out of place because they're so dark, or they're so dark against that background. So maybe get some of that lighter color and just make sure that they blend in a little bit better. Maybe some of them are falling. We're seeing some petals. And highlight some of these just by setting my brush down and kind of pulling up through the paint. Will takes a little bit of practice, but it's a nice little trick to add a little color without having to blend it. Okay, I think we're good. There, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get this brush here, the number 2 again. I'm going to get my magenta and just a tiny bit of black. Tiny. Just want it a little bit darker, and I'm going to find the centers of my flowers And just darken up those centers, dabbing on some color that kind of radiates out towards the edges of the petals a little bit. And don't use a lot of black for this, you don't need a lot, but just a little bit. And I can even kind of draw out some little lines for where I'm going to do my little white, or my yellow little pollen, stamen, whatever. So just little lines. Keep it pretty dark. Not too dark. You don't want it to look black. You want it to have that kind of magenta color. So, and just a few of these have a little bit down there. Okay. Very pretty. I'm going to go back to the small color, the small round, I mean, and get my yellow. And get the yellow and the gold both, because it's kind of a yellow gold. And I'm going to get some white. Yellow is not going to cover by itself usually. To add a little bit of white. And I'm going to get some Indian yellow, India yellow. That's going to take a while to get used to the new name. New name, same color. And just use the very tip of the brush to do my little dabs of yellow. And if it's not showing up, you can add a little bit of burnt sienna at first. You may have to kind of get it a little darker to show up. And then add your white yellow mixture. You can always come back and add yellow on top if it's too white. You know, if you can't see the yellow. So... and just try to keep this random. That's the main thing. A lot of times if you're too perfect with your dots, they're too close together, they're too uniform, they can look a little fake. So, or it kind of just takes it out of the realm of realism a little bit. Go. And some of these that are in the shade over here are darker, so we can use that burnt sienna mixture. They don't all have to be in the sunlight. Okay. And I'm going to splatter. Splattering is one of my favorite things to do on this kind of a painting because it kind of gives it a whole, like, I don't know, you know, it gives it that kind of feel of like things are happening without having to actually paint it all out. If you don't like splattering, you don't have to do it. Just, obviously, it's your painting. Why I even said that. You do you. I won't know. going to get some white and some of that green gold, and I'm going to come back in here and just kind of, oh my goodness, if this green will let me. I had too much water on my brush and then it's not covering. Okay, let's try that again. Green, gold, and white. There we go. Just going to bring it down, give that kind of a stem there. A little, just a couple of these. I don't want to do this to all my leaves. It's too much work. You don't need it. But you can kind of come back through and maybe dry brush a little highlight and get that green gold color. Maybe put a little bit of that on some of those leaves and wipe my brush out and just kind of press it or push it around a little bit to blend it in. Okay. Yeah, down here, these colors, I'm going to get that kind of darker purpley color, and there's some bits coming out the sides where these are attached here. Just dabbing those on, dabbing on some darker color on some of these. Get some of that darker magenta. Just using it a couple places, and then I'm going to go back in and make sure I have little lines to these. Some of these I don't have lines out to them. And this brush is not doing a great job of giving me thin lines, so if you want to switch to a smaller brush, you'll get better, thinner lines. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna go over the top of that right there. Just give it a little bit of a more finished petal right there. And maybe get a little bit of magenta and come from the inside out. A couple of those. Like I'm seeing the stem right through that petal, so I'm just gonna darken that up so I don't see the stem through it. Same thing there. Just give it a second coat. Don't generally do this after I finish the flower, but just noticed it. So any of these other ones that you need to, you can add little highlights or whatever to edges. Sometimes it's nice to just have like a bright pop of white along the tip of one of them, just to kind of give it a little highlight, make it look like it's catching the sun. Maybe this one is catching some sun there. Maybe not that much. When you're dry brushing like this, it's helpful to have the paint kind of a little bit on the thicker side. That way it doesn't go everywhere on you. But okay, I'm pretty happy with that. There we go. It's an interpretation. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, I think I am going to go through here with this purpley blue though. A little bit of that ultramarine blue and white, tiny bit of magenta. And I'm going to maybe use, let me see, I think I'm going to use the angle brush And just kind of where I have some leaves and things, I'm going to just dab in. You won't even really notice it if you do it right. You know, I want it to be kind of the same color, same value as my background almost. But I'm just going to dab in like little bits of this blue here and there. And then I think I'm going to use that blue to splatter, maybe some white to splatter too. We'll see. I don't know, but we'll use that blue. Maybe lighten it up a little bit so it's a little bit lighter. There we go. I'm just using a fan brush. I like to use a fan brush because it's thin and it doesn't hold too much paint. I find it's easier to control than using a bigger brush. It's already fanned out in the shape, you know. So I just set it like it's flat to the canvas, and I press down on it. So whatever direction you're hitting your brush is the direction your splatters are going to go. I watched somebody the other day doing it like this, and she was just getting it everywhere, and she couldn't control where the splatters were going. I was like, you gotta control the direction. It's whatever force you're applying to that brush, that's the direction that your splatters are going to go. So I'm going to hold that brush full of paint flat to my canvas and tap perpendicular to it so that it's going to just splatter. All my little splatters are going to go right where I want them to go. I can just use my finger to tap. Ooh, it got on my face though. I don't want that.
Oh, the bird's face, okay.
No, not, yeah.
I thought
the
it got on
bird's
your face.
No, not on my face. No, so I'm just gonna put my hand over it. You want to have the paint fluid enough that it comes off without having to, that paint's feeling a little thick. So, because I'm having to kind of press down pretty hard to get it to come off. So it should just really come off without barely even tapping. There we go. Look at that. Nice. You can see how pretty that is. It just kind of adds a little more like magical feel to it. I feel like I just like it. Some people don't. I don't know why. They're weird, but it's okay. I still like them. I just might not be best friends with them. We can be acquaintances. All right. Getting a little bit of the magenta. I'm going to do the same thing with the magenta. Just make sure I don't get any too close. I want it like close to my bird, but not maybe right on it. Oh yeah, that magenta and the blue. Those are good combo. Good combo. Just a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. I find that when I do that, when I splatter, if I do a lighter color and a darker color, kind of doesn't really matter what colors, as long as they're ones that I've already used in my painting. It works out pretty well. So yay, there's our painting. Really fun. I hope you guys try this one. I really feel like it's accessible. Maybe the flowers were a little tricky in parts, but definitely doable. And I have tons of flower tutorials. So if these ones aren't your favorite, you could even do like that peach fuzz painting that I did a couple weeks ago, where it was like a little bit more like abstracted flowers. If I can find it. Where is it? What did I do with it? I don't know. Oh, it's over there. It's way over there. Never mind. But anyhow, the peach fuzz one would be really good with this hummingbird. You could add the hummingbird to it. It had much more simplified flowers, maybe a little easier than these ones, I feel like. And the colors are similar enough that I think you could probably pop in your hummingbird. Maybe just leave a little space for him, you know. And maybe you could, instead of using the white, you know, use the same colors that we've used here. But these kind of flowers, they're much more abstracted, much easier to do than these ones that are looking a little bit more realistic. So anyhow, all right, that's it, I think. I'm going to sign it. And, oh, I notice this. I need to take off my chalk marks. Make sure oh, that wasn't dry. Make sure my paint's dry. Just dab off my chalk marks there. Okay. And I'm going to use my acrylic paint pen. This is a PBO, but I also have Posca ones that I really like. Whatever. Acrylic paint markers have come a long way in the last couple of years. I feel like, I mean, they've been around for a while, but I've not used them much because I just never really felt like they did a good job for me. But these ones that they've got now are really great. They don't clog up, and they have, you know, I really like them. So I've got the Uni Posca are probably my favorite, but I've got all of these and other materials that I use tonight in my description down the video. If you go click on the little arrow below the video, and it'll drop down, and it's got all of my links to my social media where you can share this if you paint along with me. You can also go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and my newsletter will also give you a free color chart and a free link to a bonus video, so you can check that out if you wanted to check out one of my free Patreon. It's not a free, my Patreon levels, the bonus videos that are available on my Patreon. So anyhow, you get extra stuff for signing up for the newsletter, and then also you'll get notification when we do our giveaway next week. So yeah, if you missed the I don't know what I need to call it. I need to come up with another name besides the G word. Art haul. There you go. You get your art haul. It is definitely a haul. You're getting a bunch of brushes and a bunch of really amazing stuff from Princeton. And we're gonna, like I said, I have 2 sets of the canvases to give away to 2 different winners, and then 4 of these sets, and actually 5 if you include the one that's missing these 2 things. Yeah, anyhow, you won't even notice. You're still getting a bunch of great
You'll
stuff.
never
All
know.
Right. Never know. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching today. And give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new to our channel. Welcome. I forgot to even say that. It's too late now. Hopefully they haven't left. But if you're still here and you haven't subscribed, please do. And share this with your friends. Please do that. That really helps our channel a lot. Right now, the YouTube algorithm, every spring it seems like they kind of do new weird things. And so it really helps keep our momentum going in the new year. When the slump happens it always happens every single year. We've been doing this for so long. But having your like, subscribe, and share our videos, all of that stuff really helps a lot. Comment and all of that really helps let YouTube know that you like what we're doing. So we really appreciate you. And yeah, hope you come back, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.